Hello everyone, I am Vishnu Marcuelo from BSED English 1C. Now let's start with our commentary vlogs in reading and Philippine history. Let's start. You can see in the screen that there is a post thread there in which I should give a comment on the following statement. A thread there states that the enduring influence of foreign cultures have left an indelible imprint on Philippine soil that cannot be washed away. These influences have seeped into the bedrock of culture and in time transformed the Filipino into something truly unique. I absolutely agree on this comment. As years and centuries have gone by, we have been colonized with different cultures and histories in our nations. And through these different kinds of influences, we are transformed to the Filipino we are now. Now, the next statement will be the Filipino has been conditioned to think small. Thus, nationalism and national pride were not made of his vocabulary, and that the steadiest thing in his fluid mind is his family ties, its rituals, and its fetishes. His family is his best social security. This statement is quite true in my point of view. As we Filipino really do love our families, we celebrate around them. We learn and socialize through them. But I don't think we are truly ignorant with our nationality and pride, as we are quite supportive with our nation. Last thread will be the Filipino is a person with 4 histories and 4 cultures. That is true indeed. As I have mentioned before in a comment, we have been colonized by many different cultures and histories. And with the help of these different influences, we have become a nation with profound diversity of ourselves. Yes. Next post will be share your critical analysis critique of the readings presented related to the Philippine society and culture before and during the Spanish period. Okay. Spanish period was with barangays led by datos, in which it highlights the early Philippine communities. It also emphasizes on a rich oral tradition and indigenous belief systems. Yet, it romanticized as a utopia, ignoring internal conflicts and slavery. During the Spanish period, our society explored Christianity and how colonization unified diverse groups under a single colony, introduced as a centralized governance system. Yet, it overemphasized the quote-unquote civilizing role, downplaying the exploitative aspects of colonization, such as forced labor, cultural erasure of indigenous practice, and neglecting the experiences of ordinary Filipinos, particularly women and the lower classes. Now on the third post, share your analysis/critique of the following readings. 3.1 Cultural Transformation, Bringing Out the Best in the Filipino. What I love about this reading is that it focuses on bringing out the best in Filipinos, often emphasizing values such as resilience, adaptability, and a strong sense of community. The call for transformation emphasizes the importance of addressing societal challenges like corruption and inequality, where it encourages a change towards a perspective of accountability, responsibility, and cooperation among the people and nation. And the next thread will be 3.2. The next thread will be fighting the war against forgetting. I really do like this reading because it really captures the heart of our nation. The fight that we must tackle upon throughout our nation. This reading emphasizes the need to embrace our culture, our knowledge, our past centuries, and reward them in our hearts and soul as opposed to provide modernization in our nation. The next thread will be language and culture. What an amazing reading I have read indeed. I like how it emphasized the need for our culture and our language as a whole. It stated the role of language in the promotion and development of Philippine culture in Republic Act 7356, where our culture is a right. It expresses as our national identity that we as Filipino people, as citizens of the Philippines, are responsible to preserve such cultures. Our language is a culture too. So it is our right to preserve to our national language. It is also a development culture as it goes through process of enriching different ethno-linguistic communities. After that post will be after reading the Pact of Biak na Bato, excerpt from the memoirs of Emilio Aguinaldo, how did you feel? How do you assess the character of Pedro Paterno? I've read this reading and I absolutely love it. I find it hard to read, not because I don't understand a thing, but the fact that it emphasized the need of sacrifice and hardship of Filipinos through a challenging period. The constant need to recollect the pride and love of the Philippines throughout the journey of Emilio Aguinaldo. I find Pedro quite an interesting fellow, with a background of a Filipino yet served to the Spaniards, leave a mark to its character, as I find him as a person that is somewhat neutral between the agreements of the Filipinos and Spanish government, but nevertheless an opportunistic character. The next post will be discuss the phases of the Moro Wars as presented by Cesar Adib Mahul. In Phase 1, Brunei cut off. The first phase of conflict between the Muslim and the Spaniards, in which they also committed the first act of war when they captured a Bornean trading vessel. The Spaniards also invaded Brunei and forced Sultan Sofr Rijal to flee. In Phase 2, Stronghold. The second phase of conflict started once again by the Spaniards trying to establish colonies in the Muslim land. In 1591, Spaniards tried to colonize Mindanao and incorporate it into its Philippine colony in which they planned to build their base. In Phase 3, counterattack, the third phase of the conflict started when the Maguindanao launched an offensive attack against the Spaniards in the Visayas, yet the Spaniards still succeeded in conquering Ternate. In Phase 4, the Fortress War. The fourth phase of the war was the fortification of Zamboanga. The task of Spanish governor Corcuera was to conquer and capture Cuadrat and put a Spanish puppet in the Maguindanao Sultanate. In Phase 5, the attack of the Solo in Iranut to knock out the Spaniards from the fort failed in 1720 to 1721. Then after such failed attempt, they tried for a peace treaties. Yet the Spaniards they changed the process of evangelization and must now the sultanates accept the preaching of Christianity. In Phase 6, the last but not the least, the Spanish expedition to Solo in 1851 forced the Sultan for a treaty. There was another Spanish campaign in 1876 and it was to capture Jolo. It was intended to represent a fait accompli to force foreign power to accept Spanish territorial claims. Now in the next post will be what solution can you present to end the Moro-Christian conflict in southern Philippines? In my case, I would like to establish a monitoring bodies to ensure both the government and Moro groups adhere to peace agreements. I would also suggest to provide leadership training to local officials to enhance governance, reducing corruption and inefficiency. Next will be to integrate history, culture into the national curriculum to provide understanding. The last post will be, what is your stand on the topic federalizing Philippines? I mean, it has potential benefits, but we, the Philippines, must first address weaknesses in our institutions and issues within our government. A seamless, measured approach to decentralization is more viable, ensuring that all Filipinos are sustaining and benefiting on this matter. And that will be all. Thank you for listening.